is beginning to look like the next 2 weeks could make or break Mitt Romney's bid for the Republican nomination. The Michigan primary is only 2 weeks away. Romney's camp pretty concerned now. The super PAC is digging deep, throwing an additional $500,000 into Michigan for ads. Here's why they're doing it. The latest American Research Group poll shows Romney trailing Santorum in Michigan 33% to 27%. Romney, grew up in Michigan, and his father was governor there. So what's going on? Let's ask our panelists. Live in Washington, Democratic strategist Maria Cardona, David Drucker, political reporter for Roll Call, and here in New York, Gretchen Hamill, executive director of the Public Notice. David, I'm going to start with you. We're going to start with those polls there. Romney apparently has a serious reason for concern here. Michigan was considered a done deal for him among, the things that we mentioned. He won it easily back in 2008. How likely is a Santorum win, and does this become a game changer?
Well, I think that, as with everything in this race, every time we think we know what the playing field is, every time we think something's going to finally set this race on a permanent track, it hasn't. So I wouldn't make too much of the Michigan polling today, except that you're right, it should be concerning for Mitt Romney. He's behind. And a Rick Santorum win in Michigan could make him competitive on Super Tuesday. So, yes, it's concerning, but there's 2 weeks. It could turn around. Of course, Mitt Romney entered Florida behind. He had, I think, 10 days or less to turn that around, and he did. And so there's, as we've seen in this race, plenty of time for anything to happen. Rick Santorum was down for a long time, and now he's up. And so it's a race.
Yeah, it has been a bit of a roller coaster ride. Maria, I want to stay on Michigan, though. A pro-Romney super PAC is buying an additional $640,000 of ad time in Michigan, and that's actually tripling its spending there. Until now, the super PAC was targeted at Gingrich. We assume that they're going to target Santorum. There are only 2 weeks left for these ads to have any effect. Do you think they will?
Well, unfortunately, what we've seen this cycle is the tremendous show of negative advertising, and what we've seen is that it works. David's right. This is what Romney's strategy was going into Florida after Newt Gingrich's win in South Carolina. Completely eviscerated Gingrich in Florida, and it worked for him. Absolutely, they're going to do that now.
But Maria, he had a lot more time for those ads in Florida. They aired for a very long time. This is only 2 weeks.
That's exactly right. So we'll see what kind of damage he can do. I think that it's very concerning. This is where I disagree with David. I think it's very concerning for Mitt exactly because of that. He doesn't have as much time for the negative ads to work. Plus, this Michigan poll is not an outlier. You've seen actually polling nationally where Santorum and Romney are now basically tied.
Yeah,
and his numbers are tanking among independents. And so that is of huge concern for Mitt Romney. If he loses his home state of Michigan, I absolutely think it's a game changer moving forward.
All right, so Gretchen, let's talk a little bit more about those numbers and the independents. If we take the independents out of the polls, Rick Santorum is actually ahead by 24 points. Romney's been called the electable candidate, right? But the last poll had him tied with President Obama. He cannot connect with the conservative base. Are you concerned that this is just a fundamental problem for the GOP in general?
Well, it is maybe a fundamental problem for the GOP when it comes to connecting with conservatives for Romney, but there is a conservative base of part of the Republican Party, but at the end of the day, this election will be decided by the independents. Romney has to swing to the right in order to get through this primary. That's typically what you see of candidates. They start their campaign off by singing to their base and then swinging back over into the middle, and that's what we're going to see Romney do. Now, how he's looking in Michigan, he does have a conservative problem in Michigan, and he's going to have to fix that in the course of the next 2 weeks, and 2 weeks is a lifetime in this primary. But what will really happen and what will really decide this race is Super Tuesday in March.
All right, so my last question for you. It is kind of off base. I contend because the Catholic Church is involved in politics right now, that perhaps is not. You have to follow the rules here. It is a one-word answer today. So we're going to focus on the news and entertainment. Nicki Minaj getting a lot of heat from the Catholic League. I assume that you've seen this picture. We have some video here to show you. At the Grammys red carpet, she wore a red robe that looked like a cardinal's robe, or perhaps Little Red Riding Hood. We're not sure. She was escorted by a man dressed as a pope, then did that performance there, centering on exorcism. Here are your options: offensive, amusing, or plain stupid. Maria.
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm going to say amusing.
Amusing. David?
Plain stupid is 2 words, but I'm going with that.
Plain stupid. And Gretchen?
Plain stupid. She didn't think it through.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time this morning. We'll see you again a little bit later.